you for joining me, you guys. Thank you for being here. You made it. We're here again at 11:11 Pacific time. Live with love. I am love. It's a pleasure to meet you. And every day I show up, just as you show up, and we find out what's kind of working in the field, what's going on. And sometimes you guys ask questions, sometimes we tone together. Yesterday, live, I'm sorry, but it didn't record at the very end. So all of you who've showed up right now, like live at this time, got to see me bang on my chest. And hopefully all of you joined me where we played a little bit of Tarzan on us, right? Where we kind of moved that energy around, screamed out our vocal cords of the flying, I still can't quite hit that note. Let me try one more time. I don't know what it is. I feel like I used to be able to hit that note. Maybe it's because I'm not actually swinging from anything. Maybe it helps to have that movement where you're actually swinging and you're belting it out, right? So tell me if any of you guys are able to hit those notes. I'd really love to know. We had, in the last couple lives, a lot of heavy stuff coming up, heavy energy. There was like a day or so where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go on live. Like, I'm not really feeling it. This is deep, what's happening. And I haven't had to do that yet, where I felt like because sometimes you need that, right? Sometimes you need to go off and just be really silent, really quiet, and let what's arising to kind of work itself out, to breathe through it, right? Sometimes you kind of want to be like, what is this? And you can kind of name energies. As you go along, you can name, okay, there is grief there. Okay, that's a little weird. That's interesting, right? People say interesting a lot. Because they say interesting a lot because you are the observer. You're the witness to what is happening. When you're the observer, we talked about this yesterday, you're not necessarily stuck in the muck. It's more like you stepped into a puddle or some muddy mess and you look down, and instead of getting all pissed off about it, you look down and you're like, and that just happened. Okay. I don't know why that happened, but okay. Today something came in that talked about, there were some affirmations. I was up super early. Affirmations were, or the affirmation was, I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what this is, but I love it. I don't know what this is, but I love it. And there's a reason for that. Why do you think that is? You're able to kind of rewire the circuitry of your brain and not allow the ego to come in and create different stories. So if you're telling yourself right away, like, this just happened and it's okay, or I love that, even I love that, I mean, feel that vibration, it's okay, I love that. You're bringing love right into that experience, and you're not leaving room for the egoic self, our beautiful ego that loves to protect us in ways of stories. And that's what often happens, is those stories come up. So, where am I going with this? Where am I going with this? I like to feel into like where the energy's bringing me, so none of this is planned. But that came in. How to kind of transmutation has been coming in, and I've been kind of prompted, I would say, to share a little bit of my little stories, it seems. I didn't really want to do that, and sometimes it comes out when I'm tapping in, closing my eyes, and breathing with all of you. There are messages that come through, and sometimes in those messages, it's kind of like this feeling of, and oh, by the way, you're going to tell them about this particular time. And for a moment, I'm like, and then being the person I am, I like to just have it flow through, because when I get in the way, I notice that I get in the way of the message that's coming through. So I do, when that feeling comes in where it's like, all right, you just relayed this information. Now we're going to talk a little bit about you. And sometimes they talk about me, and they like relay what happened in that day. That kind of happens. If I'm not out here saying, oh, this is what occurred, and this is an example of that. Oh, hey there. How you doing? Grip, edit, Z's? What should I call you? Should I call you Grip? Grippy? Thanks for joining. On this channel, I often check out the comments, and if there are questions that come up, I answer those questions. We breathe together, and we get in touch with the heart. We're getting in touch with the trueness of who you are. And what we're currently talking about is some of the heaviness that's been coming up. There are old habits you have, old beliefs that kind of can come up in a crunchy way sometimes. So check out my previous 2 lives. There's a lot there about the practicality of going through that crunchiness and kind of how to handle it. Some of what we talk about today is how we can say this affirmation, I don't know what this is, like I don't know what's happening, but it's okay. Or I love that, because you're bringing love into a place where your egoic self wants to take it somewhere else. And what came in this morning was this card. And I know it's backwards for you guys, but know you're receiving everything you're to receive. It's called Defend to the End, the Worthwhile. Why is this coming up now? This is the Sacred Warrior. I've also got an owl here, which is wisdom. When we pause, when something occurs in our life and we pause, we take that sacred pause and we breathe, or we step back, which I've talked about on this channel, different information comes through. And maybe nothing comes through. Maybe you pause in the middle of an altercation of some sort and you don't feed the energy into that particular thing. So the warrior's coming in to tell us that what you defend is worthwhile. And when I say defend, I don't mean you're getting in an argument with someone. As I'm talking about the sacred pause, what I'm saying is that you ask yourself, do I need to get into this right now? Is this important right now for me to continue? Because there are a lot of us people pleasers out there too that will shut our voice down because we don't want confrontation. I was one of those people, and I'm still working on that particular thing. So I will say that we're being asked to defend the worthwhile, to keep moving forward with those things that are most important to us, or that gives us a chance to speak our truth with discernment, right? In a loving, compassionate manner is what is sought after. Sorry about that. My throat's doing the cleary thing again. Happens every time I come on here, guys. So, hello, my podcast. Awesome to see you here. So what we're talking about is that which means important aspects. And what happened to me this morning, I'm going to tell you a little story because this goes into what happened this morning. Boundaries also came up. So we're dealing with heavy energies, and then we're like, how much into this do I need to get? And this morning, I stood up for my ground. I stood up for my ground with a friend of mine and basically kind of called them on their BS. And I was like, why are you acting this way? What is going on with you, right? And we have a past background, but what I came out with was, I'm just curious, but after you said all these different things and responded the way you responded, or actually reacted, They're like, I don't care. I don't care if this happens. I think you should just learn from this. This should be a learning experience for you. And I looked at them and I was like, this is not a learning experience. The things that have occurred that you're pointing out has to do with focus. And they were like, look, it's happening right now. They were paying attention to something that was cooking on a stove. And I said, yeah, it's definitely happening right now. I said, because my focus is no longer on like over there. My focus is now entirely on you. Congratulations, basically. My focus is on you. So basically, he was just not being very nice, right? And I said, would you, if your mother was here doing this very same thing, and this, like, different things happen in life, right? So that there's a little bit of, there are accidents. We call them accidents. They're kind of on purpose accidents, but like things happen in life that you don't plan to do, right? You don't plan for it to happen, or your focus is split in 2 or 3 different places, which is what I explained to this person. I was like, when your focus splits, yeah, you forget things. You're like, where's my keys? Where's this? Where's that? When I was totally in a space where I was on my own in college, I always knew where everything was. And then when I went into family life, all of a sudden, instead of just worrying about my schedule, I'm worrying about everybody else's, right? So back to my point of boundaries. Boundaries are coming up amazingly because there are times it is time for you to stand up for your truth. It is time for you to be very clear in what you stand for and what you will not stand for. So in this example, I stood up for myself. I explained about the split focus. And then I asked the person a question, which very much helps when you're in some sort of, indifference between 2 people. And I was like, do you remember this? In the very beginning, when me and you first met, do you remember this? Do you remember? And I'll give you the example. I put cilantro in lasagna. Instead of parsley, I put cilantro, right? Because I wasn't sure. They're both leafy. I kind of like smelled both. I thought it was the same thing. I had no idea. And so when this occurred and this person ate my lasagna, they laughed. They thought it was so funny. And it wasn't funny like put me down. It was like hilarious funny. Like, you totally made Mexican lasagna. Like, this is not like usual, but thank you. Thank you for trying so hard and cooking this dish. And I pointed that out to the person. I was like, there was a time where that was funny for you. And I was like, there was a time recently when I was here for the holidays that I'm like, I'm doing different things in the kitchen for family. And I was making this beautiful Mexican chocolate thing. I'm going to put this down. Beautiful Mexican chocolate thing in a blender. You're supposed to blend it up at the end. And it blew up. Like, the combination of the pressure, it was like a freaking movie. There was chocolate on the ceiling and the walls and across the kitchen, like places you wouldn't think chocolate could go. And this same person, the same friend was there. And I started laughing. Like, when this happened, it just avoided my eye. And I was like, whew, okay, I'm all right. And then the chocolate kind of like, it was an instant, like, I was like, wow, that could have burned my eye. But then I was like, I'm okay. And then I looked around and I'm like, oh my God. And I started laughing. And because I started laughing and not giving myself a hard time about it, this friend started laughing. And then other people who were around came in and they're like, holy crap, what just happened? It was a time where that person, instead of reacting in a lower polarity, which is like a judgment, a criticism, took something that is like totally me, because this, stuff like this happens. And I think stuff like this happens to kind of test people or give them a chance to be like, all right, how are you going to handle this? Are you going to handle this? Like, oh, she's totally cute. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened to her. Or are you going to handle this like criticism and how dare you not check that, and I can't believe you did that, and look at all the mess. That didn't happen. This person reacted, or responded rather, in a way that was heartfelt, that was fun, and it was play. Like, we both cleaned up. It took an hour to clean up the chocolate off the ceiling because basically it was so hot that it like seared to the ceiling. It had to be really manipulated up there to get that chocolate off the ceiling. And then today, the opposite happened. Like, there was a judgment, there was a criticism, there was a like, when are you gonna learn? How many times have you guys heard that from like a parent growing up, right? When are you gonna learn to be more like this? When are you gonna learn that you can't do that? When are you gonna learn? When are you gonna change? When are you gonna be some other type of person, right? And I totally stood up for myself today, and I did it in a way, and I had to pause, by the way. I had to wait what felt like an eternity. But I kind of did this thing where here's a technique. I just kind of held my lip because I knew, I could feel in my nervous system that when the person went into criticism, I was like, wow, here it is again. Someone telling me that I need to be other than what I am. And it's not going to fly this time. I'm going to stand up for myself. And I asked myself, how can I do this without it being like I'm on the attack, I'm on the offensive? And the answer came. I have to wait. I have to take that sacred pause. And I have to wait until I feel my body and my nervous system stopping. And here's some clues. When I get thrown off balance, I start moving things and cleaning things. There is something in you that wants to control a situation. So we're each going to have our different ways of controlling a situation so that we can feel, we're trying to feel back in our mood, back in ourself, back in our skin. And when we feel like we're out of our skin, when we feel like we're in, like, your body just naturally is like survival mode. What do I need to do to control the situation? How can I change this? What can I say to this person? What's a good comeback? And that's not always the way. It's not the way of your heart. So I waited, which seemed like an eternity, and I paused, and I waited some more, and I waited for them to speak. And then I continued. And I showed them how they've seen aspects of me in two very different polarity ways. In one way, they loved it and they were laughing, or they were like, wow, this is so weird. Let's go with it. Let's just work with what's happening. And in another way, it was very criticizing and putting down. So there are, I will say, small amounts of narcissistic traits in this person that I never really noticed over the years. Same thing with my mom. I noticed the same thing with my mom only when she went into like she herself has gone through some severe depression that she came out of. So I didn't notice hers. And then I had to ask myself, oh my God, if she's got it going on, what about me growing up? And I had to ask questions about myself, right? So this is how it always is. You're always looking at yourself. You're always like questioning, and you're giving yourself that time to pause, because what can you learn from this moment? See, there I go with the learning. It's not really a learning. Like, what can you take away from it? How is this an opportunity instead of somebody that's like trying to bash me, right? How can you just take things in and not react? How can you come back to your heart, come back to yourself? Okay, so I'm going to just take a quick look at the comments here, really quick. Do any of you guys have any question on this, on holding boundaries and how to apply boundaries? Does all of this make sense to you? By the end of all of this, and this always happens with this particular family member, by the end of all of it, it's weird. It's like that person was wound up really tight, like a top. And I've been feeling it for a few days. There was one blow up like a couple days ago, and then it started to subside. And strangely, I don't know if any of you guys have a family member like this, but strangely, once I get to the point where I stand up for certain boundaries or someone else in the family, and I stand up for them because maybe they're younger, they're a different age, they can't do it, or they think they can't because it's like an elder type adult. Once that happens, it's like the unraveling happens. It's like all the emotions that they were holding onto so tight, my truth, my ability to convey something in a clear manner, allowed things to unwind in a way for this person where all of a sudden, I don't want to say they were back like normal, but all of a sudden they're like your average great friend. Like they're helpful. They're like, hey, you want to do that? Here's some suggestions or some questions and some helpfulness. And you look at them and you're like, whoa, that was like a split personality that just happened. Like there was this one persona that was like taking control. And I can guarantee you that's like the egoic self, the divine masculine, that is not so divine and it's running off the rails. And that can be in a feminine or a masculine form, by the way. And then you have the divine feminine. After all that releasing of energy that just unwinds, it doesn't release by like a blowing up, but it just kind of unwinds because you start talking to the mind and you're like, hey, I've noticed these two things. You're over here and you're over here and you're saying that this is a problem, but look, over here, it was not such a problem for you. So maybe some of that is rationality, but really you're speaking to the heart of that particular person. Okay. All right, so we have some new people here. I'm so glad you're joining me. My dimples? Yeah, totally my grandmother. Thank you, Grandma. I'm the only one in the family with dimples. It was kind of nice to kind of stand out that way. Okay. Wonderful. I'm so glad to have you guys here with me. Really wonderful. Yes, I've been married. So I've had that experience. It's not really that different, by the way, from when you're dating somebody. I would say the only difference is I don't want to quite say it like this. You may stick around too long because of the contract, the physical contract you signed, and because you learned from your mom and dad, because they fought a lot and they stayed together, right? Sometimes maybe there was awful stuff and they stayed together. There was stuff that they ignored with the children and they stayed together. So those are wounds from childhood that might have you stay with a person longer than you should. And I do feel like devotion to one person. I really love that. I'm not so much into, we're going on different subjects here, but that's okay because we covered the other one. So the whole polyamorous thing, it's awesome. People want to show love in that way to each other, and there's all like people are consenting and that is their way. But I personally, energy is energy. And when you mix energy with many different types of people, and they're mixing energy with a lot of different people, you don't know what you're getting when they come to you. You don't know what you're receiving, what person they connected with, either on a mental level, emotional level, and the sexual level. You don't know what you're getting. It's like Pandora's box of energy. So yeah, I have a lot of insight on the whole marriage scenario. I'm so happy I did it. It's an amazing experience for me, and also heartbreaking at the same time. And you'll see as we go along this path, hello, good morning. As you go along this path, you will notice that you have opportunities when you're in relationship with someone. It's an opportunity really to be like, okay, how spiritual am I? How heart-centered am I when you're actually around, it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. Could be friends, could be bosses, could be, a random person that flips you off for no real reason, or just because you're like, oops, I forgot my turn signal, right? And they're just having a bad day. It's really not even directed at you. So, yeah, there's so much you learn when you're in relationship in different ways throughout your life. Okay, what's your question? Positive words, 371. What's your question? I love positive words, by the way. Let's see, does anybody else have any questions? No other questions. So I'm glad that I'm being very clear for you guys. What to do with social anxiety? What type of social anxiety are you tapping into? Is it the kind that you're so introverted that you don't want to be around other people at all? Are you very empathic? As in, can you walk into a room and feel other people? Like feel their energy, and sometimes have to leave because of it? Yeah, we definitely learn a lot on YouTube. There's so many great people out here that have so many answers. And if I don't have the answers for you, gosh, there's so many. As we build this community here at 11:11 Pacific time, I have a whole library. I have 10 years of library of so many wonderful people that if I don't if I don't quite hit the subject matter or give you a full answer, in that community, I'm going to be able to be like, oh, here you go. Go check out this video of this particular person, or give you a little insight on, because all of us have so many different gifts, so many different ways. All right. So, yes, if you have different types of social anxiety, then you can kind of, what I will say about basic social anxiety. So the only experience I have with social anxiety is from an early age, really. I was introverted. I would not engage unless someone engaged with me. I was often thought of as mysterious, it seems, because I was this girl over in the corner that didn't really participate. So somehow that made me mysterious. By art school, it made me a little like somehow popular in that way, because people would then come up to me. They were extroverted, and they would come up to me and be like, hey, I see you over here. What are you doing? What are you drawing? What are you working on? And then that gave me an in to start making new friends. But unless someone came up to me, or if I saw someone was having a hard time, I recognized that they were having a hard time. And what I recognized was they were having a harder time than me fitting in. Because let's face it, we all go through this phase of, I don't belong here, right? Or someone will tell you, you don't belong here. And now I'm like, really? Okay, great. I think I do. So at that time, it hurt my feelings. And I was like, oh man, people don't like me, because I was also this people pleaser at the time too. Trying to be the good girl. So are you a good girl, a good boy? Do you play that role where you try not to make waves? The anxiety of social, it's a tough one because you don't feel like you belong. That's what it kind of comes down to. There's a fear that you will be rejected. And we see that even with teachers. They tell us, hey, there's no stupid question. And then you have the courage to raise your hand and be like, I don't get it. And they had the audacity to give you a hard time. I had this happen with a math teacher one time. And at the beginning, I was like, oh, great, there's no stupid question. I don't have to like ask all the friends around me what I'm doing, if I'm doing it correctly. And then she kind of made fun of me. And I was like, dope. Okay, no more asking the teacher for help. And that's what happens. Everything happens at an early age for us. Let's see. So this person is between, I'm just reading the comments because you on the replay won't see them. I'm between but close to maybe introvert, but I do socialize a lot. It's just that I feel fear of being judged like certain people. Yeah, so that's kind of what I talked about a little bit. It's funny how that happens. When you ask a question, even here in the comments, I notice that sometimes I'm possibly answering it. And it just has to do with my type of clair. Everybody's got a different clairs that work for them. Mine is kind of a knowing, and it starts to come out when I'm speaking with somebody. Even if I'm not officially channeling, it's a type of channeling. I shake in front of people, or I say something shaky. Okay. So I had a technique that I would do. And some of this is kind of closing down your voice, but I had this way of coping when I was in a place. By the time I got to art school and I started getting invited to parties, and I had clients, because hairdresser for many years, right? So had clients that would invite me to parties too, and I meet all these people. I would always sit or stand near the food because I knew people had to come to the food. And I would start talking with them. By then I started getting more extroverted, so kind of like you. But I would give myself a pep talk before I would go into a space where I was either speaking with people on a one-on-one or just entertaining in a group of people. Take a deep breath. I'd be in my car like I am now. And I'd be like, okay, nobody knows you here. You don't have to impress anybody here. You get to just be you, and they're going to see you being you. And it's okay to be you. And sometimes I wouldn't even be me. I would picture some actress. I would picture someone that I was like, okay, man, they're a total badass. Like Laura Croft, look at her go in there and just tear it up and realize, here's something that I realize. Everyone is a person. Nowadays, I'm like, each person is a soul. I walk down the street, I look at homeless people, and in my head or out loud, I might say, hello, beautiful soul. Or I might ask them, how is your day doing? Because we are not separate. As much as we want to separate ourselves, and we've been taught to separate ourselves because we want to belong, and yet we're pushed out. Sometimes in school, people are your friends. The next year, they're not your friends. You know, all of a sudden you have people that are, I was always friends with guys because I saw how the girls would treat each other. And I didn't want to be a part of that. With guys, I always knew, it was always face front, who they were, what they stood for. They weren't generally trying to pretend to be something else. You had girls that were pretending more to be someone else. I was included. I was trying to pretend that I was someone who was confident. And I wanted people to see confidence. And inside, I was breaking. I was sad. And I talked about this on my previous live. If you are a friend of mine, you would not know from the time I was younger, if you were in school with me from a younger age to my 20s, you would not know that I had gone through many types of just like, sadness about myself, about others, about situations. This is a type of victimhood that we go through, and then we come out of slowly as we go on this path. Okay. Yes, deep breathing. We're all about deep breathing here on this channel. Yesterday we did this Tarzan kind of which was so unusual, but somehow it was needed to move the heavy energies that some of the people were going through. I was definitely going through, and it fluctuates. You move in and out of them. We're moving in and out of like third and fifth density constantly, different timelines, and you're doing it within your own physical body. Yes, you're totally right. Positive words. When you are in the situation and you face the fear, the anxiety starts to dissipate. Our mind comes up with more stories than we can possibly imagine. If we could write down all the stories, we'd be like millionaires, right? All the books written about all these different subjects and all these different scenarios that our mind likes to play into just to be able to, say, protect us. Hello from Italy. Lovely that you're here. Awesome. I haven't had anyone from Italy yet. Pleasure to meet you. I am Love. Should I just call you Turker? Turker? Tucker? Yes. Okay. So happy to have you here. All right. So we answered some questions about anxiety, social anxiety. Do you guys have any more questions for me? Do you want me to pull a card that might pertain to the collective that is here at this time? Just taking a look right here. Hi, Vandana. All right. Yes, I am a full-timer. I am a van lifer, except I don't have a van. I have a wagon, what I call my wagon. It's actually a traveling studio. So when I travel, Colorado, Arizona, different parts of California, there are people that I meet and are drawn to me and wish to have what I call a silent haircut session. So a person can get a regular haircut with me, haircut and waxing, or they can get more than that. They can get a chance to connect to their heart center, to have a silent haircut. You'd have to have one to really know what it is. And different insights come out for the person. Sometimes quantum healings occur. I had a few people tell me that they had this fear inside of them that let me explain this. Sometimes during that session, when we are actually speaking, because there is a point of speaking before we go silent, and then there's a time afterwards that we're speaking some more. 2-hour session. It's something I wish I could do like online. How can you cut someone's hair online? So when that occurs, there are all these insights. There are questions that a person's been asking for a while. There are signs that show up in a person's life, but they don't maybe see them as signs or try to ignore them or see them as coincidences. When they are seated with me, they start to see like a little layer comes off, like a veil lifting, and they start to, on their own, because you guys all have this within you, the ability to have the answers revealed. And then as that person speaks, I also tap into, say, a card that they chose, and I let them know it's coming in on my side. There's an energetic field that we're holding, and when that happens in the quantum field, there's power in numbers, baby. Just like here, everybody here, there's power in numbers, and all your energy is here. All your positive energy is working it. And you take this with you in your day. Okay. I don't really have any views on politics. I grew up Jehovah's Witness, so I have no view on politics. I've kind of retained that, even though I'm no longer part of that particular religion. Any more questions? Okay. I'm so glad you guys are here. I've got some of you talking in a different language, and I'm sorry, but I can only read a little bit of Polish. Oh, I'm originally from the land of Illinois near the Chicago realm. And I'm also from the Pleiades. I have galacticness in me. You have galacticness in you if you are here. We're all not totally human. We do get a little bit into the galactic stuff. while we're here. Okay, so some of you that showed up late will have to check this out on the replay. We talked about the heavy energies that have come up. We talked about some practical skills in the last couple lives, so check those replays. Here we talked about standing up for our boundaries. You might think you have strong boundaries, and then they get a little tested, and then you get the opportunity to be like, all right, let's see if I can actually use my voice in a way that is with compassion and dignity for both you and the other person. All right, I'm gonna pick a card. This is what I like to do. Do you guys, let me think. I have a deck that I like to play with that has to do with detox on a cell phone or technology. But I also have this deck. Okay, this deck is calling to me. I was paying attention to the inner child today when I looked at this. And think about this in your own body. Your third eye, your wisdom. Right here, your heart, the mother. Your mother connection to the earth. Your mother nurturing connection to yourself. And the mother connection to the child. Because basically what happened this morning, when I stood up for myself, I stood up for my inner child. And I did this with the wisdom, could be the wisdom of the ancestors, the star mothers. And I did this in a way that was nurturing to me and had discernment and compassion for the other person. And the fact that not everyone is going to see or hear you like you want them to. You can try and speak your truth, and if that happened where I just stood my boundary and they were still like, I don't understand you, then I'd be like, okay, at least I didn't trap that energy within me, because that's what happens. We get a little silent and then we trap that energy within us. Okay. Let me just take a look at the comments real quick. I'm sorry if I am not able to answer everything, because it kind of goes by quickly. And because they're not your average names, it's harder for me to remember who I actually talked with. Yes, a dark side. We all have a dark side. We all have shadows, and the shadows all come up to be worked with. If you don't work with them, that's when you start to get into that, your traumas take over, depression takes over. I had to work through all those types of steps to get where I am today. So I know a fair amount about helping people, helping myself with my version of depression, helping somebody else that was severely down in the deep depths of their soul. It's like your dark night of the soul. And I currently know people and have acquaintances and friends who really struggle with the heaviness on a day-to-day basis. They're actually like functional depressives, way more functional than you would think, but it's almost like they have a split going on with them. So I'm mostly there just for the occasional support, because it is difficult to be around those people for too length of a period of time, and it is advised not to allow yourself to have that healthy boundary for yourself as well. Okay. All right, so this is the deck. I just wanted to point that particular thing out. The standing up for yourself, but in a way that you're not yelling just as much as somebody else is yelling, right? Two of those wrongs don't make a right. So we're here connecting with the inner child, we're connecting with the mother, and we're connecting with the wisdom. The practicality behind living life the way that we do and down the path that we go, that is what turns into wisdom, guys. That is what brings about change in your own reality. And when your friends or others that work with you, that see you on a regular basis, they notice a change in you. They're like, something's there. Something is different about that person. It's like you have a secret in your smile, and they're like, what is it? Something's different. So, anything else? I'm gonna pick a card. If not, I've never been to Italy. I would love to go to Italy. I have been to England, Glastonbury, and I have been to Egypt, all in the last year. Called to Egypt, called to the Great Pyramid, called to Glastonbury, the Sacred Heart, the Divine Feminine, rising, the priestesses, living your life as a priestess. Live your life as a king or queen. That's what I have to say. Whatever gender you are, live your life as a king or queen. What message needs to come up in order to go along with... okay, here it is, this top card. From judgment, free to love. So as I was explaining, for those of you that showed up late, you'll have to catch it later. The situation that I was in, the experience I was in this morning, I pointed out the judgment. You don't always have to point out. Sometimes, well, most of the time, we just lead by example and we just don't judge. We try not to criticize or judge, or we catch ourselves when we are and we correct, and possibly we apologize to a person and we stand up and say, I am sorry. I heard what you said and I acted this way, and then I've had some time and I'm finding that you are correct. This and this occurred, and I also realized that there was a break in communication. Most of the things that happen in life between two people or groups of people, it's because there's a lack in communication. Or there are two different perspectives, and each one isn't seeing that person's perspective. So when you are free from judgment, you are free to love. Free to love, free to hold yourself and another person. There's a lot of magic that happens when we let go of criticism and judgment. All right. Lord Krishna teaches all living beings, including animals, the divine soul, possesses the divine soul, and it is part of him emphasizing equality and compassion. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that. One of those great ascended masters. We have so many wonderful ascended masters that are here to help us. All of you that feel like you didn't belong or feel like you're always alone, we are never alone. And you're always with you. And you might not like yourself very much, or you might love yourself a lot. This channel is all about reminding yourself to nurture yourself, to check in with yourself with your breath. Like all of you right now, take a deep breath with me, okay? And hold. And release. Notice your body. Take a deep breath. Hold. And notice your body. Relax. Put one of your hands on your lower womb. If you can remember the picture of the child, it's like you're putting a hand on the shoulder of the little person that is you. That little one is the one that has the tantrums, that has the reactions, that has the defensiveness, because it feels like it's not loved, it's misunderstood. That's where we get a lot of the social anxiety, the depression. Feels like they're not seen, they're not heard. So take a hand and kind of rub that lower womb, because you guys have a womb also. Doesn't matter. Put a hand on the heart and take a deep breath through the belly and release. Close your eyes for a moment. Take another breath in Hold and release. Listen to that lovely angel music that a random person I met camping said, "I have something for you." And I came back and there it was in my basket. Beautiful, angelic CD. Who uses CDs anymore? Well, apparently my car has one. Take a deep breath and release. Now I want you to take your energetic roots from your toes and grow them down straight into the core of the earth, and take a breath and release. As those roots are growing through all the layers of the earth, your energetic roots are also going through your heart, not your heart, sorry, your earth star. It might as well be your heart your heart soul, right? You are connecting to the soul, the heartbeat of your Mother Earth. If you grew up without a mother, if you felt like you didn't have a mother, you can always connect to Gaia, Gaia, Sophia, the mother of creation, many names for the female aspect, the divine. Breathe in and release. Feel your heartbeat. Take those energetic roots and now wrap them through the earth, out the other side, and wrap them around the earth as if you're creating a blanket of light, anchoring your roots into the earth. Take a deep breath in and release. Can you feel the heartbeat of the mother? When you are in the womb, you have this connection, this synchronistic connection of the heartbeats within the womb. Even though you are told that the fetus, the heartbeat, is so much faster, there is a synchronizing that happens between the bodily systems of that child within the womb and the mother. Regardless of the connection you have with your mother from that phase to child to teen to adulthood, you always had this connection. This was your first example of the miracle that you are. You are a miracle, dear ones. Breathe and release. Again, we are being asked to look for the miracles, the synchronicities in your world as you go about doing what you do. Breathe in. Feel the heartbeat of the mother. We ask for a fifth dimensional connection to the mother. And breathe and allow. And release. What do you feel? Does the line start to diminish between your heartbeat and her heartbeat? Feel. Nothing to do. Feel. Breathe in feel as the mother sends energetic lines through your roots, a connection to the elemental kingdom, the roots of every tree on this planet, lighting up, supporting you, not only providing you with the oxygen that you breathe, but providing you with a strengthened connection to the earth itself, to the animals, to the elementals of the dragons, the fairies. Who do you connect with? Who did you connect with as a child? Let's play a game. Who did you connect with as a child? Pegasus, unicorns, elves, Bigfoot. Did you have an imaginary friend that spoke to you? That was there for you when you thought you were alone? Were you told that they didn't exist, but you knew better? Breathe in and breathe out. Can you tap into that inner child of you? That little one. Can you play? Can you play today? There's that song again. It came out in a different video. Cece, my playmate, come out and play with me, and bring your dolly free. Climb up my apple tree, slide down my rainbow into my pot of gold, and we'll be forever friends, forevermore. Take a deep breath in and release. And I want you to just kind of open your eyes a little bit. I still want you to be tapped in and feel. It's important to feel these energies when your eyes are open as well as closed. Breathe in and release. All right. Yeah, sliding down rainbows into a pot of gold. Rainbows have been around for months now. Months. I actually have something occurring, and each of you might see this. This might happen as well for you in different ways, but the energies that are coming in at this time are making more information available to our senses. It's part of what we work on in this channel. And tapping into that rainbow spectrum of light, that's something you can do on a regular basis. You can see rainbows in a speed sign that you're passing, or other different types of signs. Notice when you see rainbows today. And if you get a chance to, comment on the saved video of how many rainbows you saw. And when you see that rainbow, take a deep breath and know that that rainbow energy is entering the cells of your body. It's working with the cells, the DNA, the bone structure, the bodily systems, the mind. You can picture rainbows all up into that beautiful brain of yours, that mind that sometimes wants to take over. The darkness and the rainbows. That's interesting. There is the space between the space, isn't there? There's space between the cells that you have, and in there lies darkness. So we're never supposed to be afraid of the darkness. Some of us were as children. All right. Awesome. Yes, look for the rainbows. Find fun today. I've been saying this on a couple videos. It must be important, otherwise it wouldn't come up. Find your fun. I recently started swing dancing again. Why? To move the heavy energies that are coming in. I've also rollerbladed, scootered. What else? I haven't gone swimming yet. Find the thing that you like to do that brings you joy. that moves the energy when it gets a little mucky. And then join me here for 11:11 Pacific time daily. If you want to breathe, if you want to talk about things, if you want to have questions answered, join me. And we'll be friends forevermore, right? If you wonder why I laugh a lot, it's because I get a sense. It's not, someone asked me, do you hear something particular? Do you see something particular? And it doesn't quite work that way with me. But there are impressions that come in. I was recently told that if you like to connect to the Octurians, if you're into galactics, right? The galactic collective of the Octurians are kind of like the Council of Joy. Like they're here to be the fun players, to make you laugh, to remind you that life isn't so serious. The Pleiadians are more of like the nurturing mothers, right? The Octurians are more like the grandmothers that are like, hey, come on, let's spoil you, little granddaughter, grandson. And then the Syrians are more of the wisdom keepers. They're more of like, right here, the wisdom that comes through the star mothers. All right, so it's wonderful to have you all here. I'm so glad I have so many new people. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at 11:11 Pacific time. I'm wearing a lot of butterflies. Note right here, this might be significant for you. When things come up, numbers, animals come up, transformation is happening for you, for me, for all of us as a whole. We're all connected. So tap into what brings you joy the most, what makes you laugh the most, and be a little silly. Yeah, just be a little silly. I had somebody the other day, I was rollerblading around a lake, and they look at me and they're like, what do you think this is? Venice Beach? Because I had like short shorts on, I had a crop top on. It's like January, but it's Colorado, my friends. You want the weather to change? Then wait a minute, right? And yeah, the weather here is beautiful. I can wear shorts and I can skate like I'm on Venice Beach because it's Colorado and you can do that here. So wherever you are on the earth plane, I wish you well. And yeah, we are one voice, one heart, and one breath. And as always, we are one. So enjoy your day. Thanks for showing up here. Mwah. I love you. Go tell yourself I love you in a mirror, and that you appreciate you, because I appreciate all of you that show up today. Any questions you have, help everybody who shows up here as well. It always happens. They have the same questions. They've been struggling with the same kind of things, and we're all here to support each other. I love you. Have a fantastic day.